Chris, obviously, you are heavily involved in understanding virtual CISOs. Could you perhaps start by talking a bit more about, what that actually means to you? What do you mean when you talk about virtual CISO?
So a virtual CISO to me is basically when an organization outsources the role of the chief information security officer.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess maybe even take that a level lower, because you can kind of say, well, what's the definition of a chief information security officer, right? For us and the scope of our work that we do is really that it's strategy, it's oversight, it's management, it's leadership of the cybersecurity program. It's like we were talking about earlier. It's interfacing with the executive team and translating this information, the pieces that they need to know into their language. And that's what a CISO should be doing in an organization, at least, in my opinion, anyway.
And what's the main benefit of using a virtual CISO? Because one of the things that I immediately think is, how well can you know that organization if you're not the CISO that's in the offices? I mean, is that a challenge, or is that a benefit, or is that a disadvantage?
Yeah, it's like you said, it can be a little bit of both. It definitely is a challenge, and that's we were founded on the idea of the virtual CISO, and without making it so from the get-go we knew, okay, how do we what processes and systems do we put in place so we know the organization as well as possible? Because you're right, it's like, okay, you have a half a dozen different organizations that you're working on at any given point in time, and that could be a challenge. But to get down to it, the idea is that we really service organizations that couldn't hire their own CISO by themselves. It's just cost prohibitive to them. A larger organization, you can say, well, and by that I'm assuming that a qualified CISO is someone that's they've been in the industry for 5 years. They have a CISM or a CISSP. They're probably going to cost their organization at a minimum $150 a year, or $150,000 a year. And when you look at an organization with, say, 250 employees, so we service mainly banks and credit unions. They have a lot of challenges. They have to have a chief information security officer, but they can't afford that price.
Sure. Makes sense. And I suppose one of the really big advantages is objectivity. You can approach this from the perspective without having those relationships, which perhaps sometimes might not be the most beneficial to figuring out exactly what's happening.
Yeah, that's right, Aidan. It's we're free of the political pressures that can sometimes mix. So like you said, just the disadvantage can be the advantage in certain situations.
Because you don't have any other agenda other than improving the security. It's not like you're there for any kind of trying to achieve any career goals. It's not like you're having to play the politics. Ultimately, your role is to improve their security, and that's got to be a big benefit.
So yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Okay. In terms of you talk about this being of benefit to those smaller organizations, but as a concept, surely it almost also makes sense for some of these larger organizations to go down this road of having a virtual CISO as well, because it's it's a very tough role to retain as well. I mean, surely it can't just be for SMBs, no?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and we're finding, when I started out, I thought, okay, this will be a solution that's good for an organization of this size. And then I'd find one that was larger than that would shatter that thought, that preconceived notion. Okay, well, maybe it's a little bit larger that can use it. And what we keep finding is that, organizations that need help with their information security, managing it, structuring it, compliance. I know that's another piece that we get involved in a lot, that some CISOs have to manage.
Sure.
If they're struggling with it, like you said, an outside perspective that's done it before can really be helpful.
Right. And I guess one of the really big benefits that a virtual CISO brings to an organization is that, at any one point in time, you're probably you've got multiple organizations, so you're seeing all of these problems again and again and again. You've probably seen more real world examples of security strategy and practice than the average CISO, because you've done it so many times.
Yeah. Are you looking at my notes? Did you see this on screen? No, all joking aside, though, you're exactly right. That's another benefit that we talk to our folks and our prospects and even our customers tell us that as well. They say, look, you have this outside expertise.
Right.
You get the advantage of seeing a number of different institutions, a number of different organizations, and it's like the cycle speed multiplies. Then instead of seeing an information security program once every year, you get to see,
it's on steroids. Yeah,
exactly. It is. Absolutely, it really right. is. It's a great environment to learn in, and I love that about it too. It's really pretty cool.
How much of what you're doing is about educating executives on what cybersecurity actually is versus how much of it is actually putting in the strategies that are needed to actually keep the organization safe?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and we're always looking for that line. At a high level, for us, we would rather be higher than at the executive level than down in the weeds of really putting a lot of the work into place. We know organizations that do be CISO or be almost like a BISO then, where they're really getting down into doing a lot of the pulling the levers and pushing the buttons kind of thing. Right. So I think it kind of depends on the need of the organization, sure, what the skill set is of the firm that's providing it. For us, like I said, we really like to be at that higher level. We have, our clients that we work with, they don't necessarily assign internal people to us, but there's that working relationship of, okay, so we set the strategy, we're going to go do this. Now, you as the virtual CISO and you as the security admin and you as the security analyst, go make it happen now.
Right, yeah. I'm not sure what your experience is like, but certainly we've been seeing that when we're engaging with enterprises, that there's a lot more maturity there now than there was a few years ago. Where people are taking cybersecurity more seriously than they were. You're seeing these headlines saying some organizations view cybersecurity risk is on par with that of a global recession. So I think that we're heading in the right direction. So people are thinking more about, well, how do we fix it? Not, is it a real problem? And I think that's a positive step. I don't know whether you've seen that as well.
Yeah, for sure. And it's it's exciting. It's enlightening. It's great that the world is finally coming to terms with this being not something that's going to go away anytime soon, and that they have to really, they have to square up to it and begin to manage it. Agree 100%.